Good morning, beautiful people. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. In today's video, we are going to be sanding the hull. So we're going to be shaping the boat and giving it a nice smooth bottom, which will be a nice foundation for when we get to fiberglass. All right, you guys, I hope you guys are all having a great day, and I hope you enjoy the video. Thank you so much for watching.
So this is an angle grinder, and I use this to shape the boat. Angle grinders use wheels that they spin in order to remove material by grinding on the faces of the angle grinder. This is the wire that I normally use to tie the parts of the boat together before gluing. This wire is actually much heavier than is necessary, and probably much heavier than most people who make stitch and glue kayaks use. The reason why I use this wire is because I can get it easily at my local hardware store. I've looked around for some other wire that's maybe thinner gauge, or like the stuff that came with my kit the first time I made a stitch and glue kayak, and I haven't really been able to find something. I've looked online and I can order it, but I'm also usually in too much of a hurry, and I don't like waiting for things. So if I can drive to my local hardware store and use this stuff, then I will. This is called a flat disc. It uses pieces of sandpaper that are glued in a ring shape that you mount in the angle grinder. It spins the sandpaper against whatever it is you're trying to remove and sands it away. Now, when I first started doing this, I used these in the first part of shaping the boats. Now, the problem is that I also use much heavier wire than normal people use. Using that heavier wire meant I went through a lot more of these right off the bat than probably most normal people do. This is a grinding disc. This disc is made of abrasive material, and as it grinds, the disc wears away. These last a whole lot longer than flat discs or sanding discs. By using one of these, I use a whole lot less, and I can get all of the stitches ground down with just one disc. Just to recap, these sanding discs don't last nearly as long as these grinding discs. And so you might ask the question, why don't you just use grinding discs for everything? You know, you'd save a lot of money that way. And the answer is that the grinding discs, when they're grinding wood, two things happen. One thing is that as the wheel is spinning past the wood, the wheel is grinding itself away, but it's also picking up wood dust. And that wood dust makes the wheel unstable. It makes it weighted unevenly. And then what happens is the wheel can sometimes come apart. And when it does that, it sprays everywhere, and it's really kind of dangerous. Now, the other problem is that the grinding wheel actually tends to burn the wood instead of sanding away the surface. So as you guys are watching the video, you'll see every time I use this, there's a little like brown circle where I've used the grinder. And what that is that's actually burnt wood. That's where it's burned into the wood a little bit right around where the stitch was sticking out. A flat disc is much more aggressive in that it does much more cutting instead of grinding. And so as this goes over the surface, it's cutting the fibers and tearing the wood away. And in that sense, it's not burning the wood. Now, what does tend to happen is these wear out over time. And as they do, they become more and more likely to burn the wood, which is why you have to replace them. After I get all the stitches ground down, I switch to using a flap disc or a sanding disc, and I use that to give the boat its original or initial shape. That way, these last a whole lot longer. I can get through an entire boat using only about 4 of these, whereas if I did it from go using these, I'd go through 15 or 20. This is my random orbital sander. It spins this around and kind of vibrates everything, and it uses Velcro to attach sanding discs. This is 40 grit sandpaper. When I'm sanding a boat, I start out using this sandpaper. What I've learned is by using 40 grit sandpaper, I can knock a whole lot off. A whole lot of the stuff that I want to get off pretty quickly. And I can start getting the shape I want pretty easily. The initial sanding that I do with any boat, I do at 40 grit, and then I go up to 60, and then 80, and then 120, and then 220. 320 is about the highest I'll go on a boat. Generally, after that, you run into some issues in terms of keeping things smooth and keeping things going. Kind of once you get past the 220, 320 stage, basically like touching the boat when you're moving it around and stuff, you'll add scratches that are deeper than you'll ever get at with that type of sandpaper.
guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.